Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're coming from tonight. My name is Spencer Combs, and this is Spencer Uncensored, episode number 83. What? I didn't have any hiccups, right? So I put my phone on do not disturb, trusting that maybe you do the same thing. Hopefully you can see me well. We just move things around in our little camera here. And I got some good things for you tonight. I got some stuff for you tonight, and I'm trusting that it's going to be super useful for you as we move forward tonight. My name is Spencer Combs. For those of you that have never been here before, my name is Spencer Combs. I believe that professional development always happens on the backside of personal development because businesses don't actually grow, people do. And so because of that, I have spent greater part of now actually over 20 years answering the question on what helps people continue to keep moving forward. So tonight, if anybody wants to just drop in the chat, let me know that you're here. I need to make sure I can see the comments as they pop in. We got ourselves set up on the phone. So glad you're here. Glad you're here. So I've had a lot of influences. And this whole section right here, actually, let me move this because maybe you can take a look. These are all books. And there's a lot of programs down here that I have gotten along the way. There's even more over there, down there, even over there. I mean, it's a ton. See, I even got more over there. It just keeps going, and I got others in the closet. The reason I'm showing all that to you is because tonight I want to give you some information very specific to one particular person that has been a big influence in my life and in my career. It shouldn't be a surprise, but I've had a lot of people that I have followed, read, listened to, and have poured into me, primarily so that people like you come onto a program like this, can hear me and just get a pretty good synergistic conversation around all that stuff that I've learned, right? So I've got everything from people like, here's Stephen Covey. One of the first books I ever read that had to do with personal development was Stephen Covey. I've also had not conversations, Lord have mercy. Been close, though. Had a lot of conversations with people that have conversations with. It's down here. I'm not going to reach down there yet, but Tony Robbins. We're going to talk about some of the stuff, his stuff tonight. But everything from like Brian Tracy to, Og Mandino. I've watched multiple VHS videos of Og. There's so many things people that I have studied and followed. T. Harv Eker, Blair Singer. I could go on and on with names, and I'm sure you could name a few of those. I would love to have you guys just drop a couple names of people that maybe had an influence on you in the comments. Maybe let us know, right? I'm thinking of people like Wayne Dyer, right? Maxwell Maltz. We could go on and on, right? The cool thing is that understanding there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. These are Bibles right here. If those are Bibles, I got a ton of Bible stuff here. That is straight out of Ecclesiastes. There's nothing new under the sun, right? Because of that, though, there are certain times and moments that we hear a certain message that really resonates with us. And so what got me to the point where I now have written Momentum and Mastery, how do we get to the point where we're able to take all this conversation and create a framework that other people can listen and read and study and follow through? What allowed me to do that is that I have been engulfed with so many influencers, as they're called today, for so many years, and I've become such a student. I don't hardly watch TV shows anymore. I only listen to podcasts and books, and I live and eat and breathe this stuff so that you don't have to. I'm not telling you don't have to, you shouldn't. I'm just telling you that this is what I do for a living. And I don't know what your career is necessarily, but I would tell you, you should be the same level of passion around your desired career. The thing that you're doing, you should be constantly learning, studying, and growing. Either that expertise in your business, or you should be doing both the personal development and the professional development. That's just a fact. So Dan throws in a couple of names in there. Oh yeah, we're going old school with Dale Carnegie and Wayne Dyer. Yep, I just mentioned him. Norman Vincent Peale. How could you, right? How could we not, how could we go through all these names and not throw in Napoleon Hill? Like, come on, right? I mean, we could go on and on. There's so many that was actually one I've read over and over, right? Think and Grow Rich. With all that being said, tonight I want to share with you just two quick lessons. I had three. I don't think we're going to have enough time to really go through all of them because I think these two are important and I think they're good for everyone. These are lessons that I got from Tony Robbins. Okay. So Tony Robbins, love him or hate him, has been a force of nature when it comes to the personal development and business development world. I mean, say what you want. The man has had a tremendous amount of results. You cannot dispute results. People have changed their lives, I being one of them. And so I wanted to share just two. There's so many lessons I've retrieved from him. There's two that I want to share with you guys tonight because I see a lot of conversation around challenges and problems and people just the uncertainty and the lack of clarity. I want to give you some tools that's going to help you move forward tonight. So let's get down to it. The first one I'm going to share with you, just like so many other personal development trainers will tell you. He says that your decisions determine your destiny, right? It's not your DNA. It's your decisions that control or ultimately control your destiny. Well, I also read that in Stephen Covey's book when he talks about at the very beginning. I remember this from so many years. I remember looking at it and reading it, right? I know I was living in Florida, Southwest Florida, when I read it. And it says in there early in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he talks about the distinction between other mammals and the human. And the human has the capacity to have a gap between stimulus and response. There's a gap between stimulus and response. And in that gap is your power to choose. Now, if you think about that for just a moment, you realize that you're not like all the other creatures of the world, that when a stimulus takes place, that you don't just automatically go into a response, even though many of us do. We have the power to choose a different response versus a reaction. Now, that was Dr. Covey's way of saying it. Tony says, your decisions determine your destiny. Almost every personal development program has a conversation around control in the sense that you have it and you get to choose how it's going to go, right? It's not any different even for us, by the way. In our 7 Master Steps in our core program, which is one of the more top tier personal development breakthrough programs we do, it's one of the first topics we talk about in control, right? What we have control over, what we don't have control over. But tonight I want to share with you kind of what Tony says about what specifically you have 3 decisions that you're making that shape your life. So let's talk about those 3 real quick. Number 1, you get to choose what you focus on. Think about this. How many times there's stimulus that takes place, something shows up in your life, and then you don't stop to think about what I should be focused on right now. This is where a lot of people get confused about, I'll be in a traumatic situation or a hard situation, difficult, whatever. Spencer, how are you staying so calm? Or Spencer, how are you not falling apart? Spencer, how are you? Because I'm focused typically on where I'm going, what I want, what needs to happen right now, right? Because when you focus on what you don't want, when you focus on what you don't have, when you focus on the things that are not messing up, the things that are wrong, you're going to feel it and you're going to have a huge sense of uncertainty. Where I know that if we're going to get the result we want, we're going to have to focus on certainty. And the best way to create that emotion of certainty is first paying attention to what do I want? My focus must be on what I want. So number 1, what shapes your future is going to be what you focus on. You get to choose that. There's a lot of things that can come into your life. Distractions, delusions, right? We've talked about this in previous series. But the fact is, if you're not getting where you want to go, you're probably not focused on what you should be. What should I be focused on in this situation right now? Second thing you have control over tonight is what things mean. The meaning that you attach to whatever the circumstance is. Now we could get real deep with this, with like the NLP discussion, that the truth is beliefs is basically the definition of a relationship between two things or two experiences. Basically, it's the easy way to say it is what things mean are beliefs that you get to attach. What else could this mean? Is a question that Tony actually teaches, right? You could be in a really hard situation, or maybe you're a salesperson and you're guiding someone else, you're consulting someone, and they're in a topsy-turvy situation. So then you could ask yourself, what else could this mean? So that you could come up with more empowering meanings to guide someone forward. See, nothing means anything except for the meaning that you choose to give it. I've used the example many times in the past where my grandmother, my American grandmother here, she never understood why American football was anything worth watching. Because to her, it was just a bunch of grown men sitting around, walking around a football field, a grassy field, slapping each other on the ass. Well, she would have never said the word ass, by the way, but but the truth is though, is if we all, if I walked around the office and I walked up to somebody that just had I just closed a big deal and I just walked up and slapped them on the rear end, how do you think that's going to go in that work environment? It means something completely different whenever you put on some tight pants and run around a grassy football field for whatever reason. The fact is that it's not the action, it's the meaning that we give to it. Somebody turned you down, somebody said no to your transaction, somebody didn't sign paperwork with you, somebody didn't do this and somebody didn't do that, whatever it was, what else could that mean? By the way, the quality of the response is determined by the quality of the question. The quality of the conversation is determined by the quality of the questions. What else could this mean? The third thing you have control over is what you do. Now, this is true on a micro and a macro scale. So let's talk about that for a second. You get to decide. Pay attention to your physiology to start, your body. Your breathing is one of the fastest ways to get control of a situation. You got things going wrong? Breathe. Spencer, I can't breathe. Well, I just heard somebody yesterday say that if you're having an anxiety issue, carry some what is it called? It's in Halls, right? I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. But it opens up your airways. It helps you breathe, right? Breathing, controlling your body, how you stand. If you stand up with your chest out, shoulders back, chin up, smile for no reason, holy crap, what happened? Everything changes the way you feel. Matter of fact, that's a lot of what's in this book. Now, this is backwards to you guys, but it says Psycho-Cybernetics. Maxwell Maltz. By the way, this is a very old version of it. I like going to Goodwill and places like that to find old books. This one was printed 1971. The original one was written 1960. So, having said all of that, you get to control your body. And then also it has to do with you get to control your next step. You're going to throw a punch? That's a decision. Don't make it a reaction. Make it a response. Maybe I don't, you got to figure out kind of what you have the control over your body is my point. Your actions, what you choose to do. So you have control over your focus, what things mean, and your body, and at the end of the day, if you know this, your thoughts actually create what you focus on, which creates your emotions. Your emotions create the chemistry, if you will, for action or inaction inside physiologically. It feeds to your body. Your body, by the way, is connected to your mind, which body-mind connection, which means now we come back full circle to my thoughts. You can interrupt all of those by just doing one of those three things. Take control. Sometimes you just got to take control with your body because your brain's all over the place. You're not feeling it. You just go do it anyway. and then you can hijack your mind that way. These are straight tactics, guys. These are strategies on how to take control, to move yourself forward. The other one that I'm going to point out to you guys, and maybe you just need to hear this because you got a problem. Right now, I'm in a launch phase of a business. We're literally doing a book launch. If you guys haven't seen Momentum and Mastery, you can, by the way, go and get it now. It's momentumandmastery.com. It'll be out in print on the 23rd, but you can, if you pre-order now, we actually send you a digital version for free. And by the way, the book's technically free because all we're doing is charging for the shipping. So momentumandmastery.com, go buy your copy of the book. But if you're having a challenge right now, I heard Tony one time say, actually more than once, that the only reason why problems become a really big issue for us, they become more of a problem when we take on 3 beliefs about that problem, or one of 3, or all 3. And I'm having to remember this because in the middle of the launch phase, building this, getting speaking engagements, getting coaching clients, going out here, we're doing an event that people are, balking at paying $97 for in Columbia, South Carolina, right? All these things can start weighing on you like it's a real problem. Well, here's something to remember. I don't know what your problem is you're running into today, but here's what Tony said. Number 1, the problem is not permanent. It's not permanent. Unless we're dealing with a death situation, the problem that you have in front of you is not a permanent problem. And even that is not permanent if you believe in an afterlife situation like I do. The problem's not permanent. Number 2, this is a big one. It's not pervasive. Sometimes we think that this one problem is going to permeate everything else in my life. And so that everything becomes a problem. That's not true. If the problem is a problem, then we focus in, we carve out what's the actual problem and work on it. See, if your check engine light came on in your car, you got a problem. But it doesn't mean that I got to take the car to a scrap heap or that I got to replace the entire engine. It could be very easy, just a sensor. Fix the sensor, fix the car. The problem is not pervasive. I don't know what you may be dealing with right now, but it's not permeating everything in your life. You might think it is. Find a way to cut out what parts of your life it's penetrating and focus on a solution there. The third thing is that the problem is not personal. If you believe that this is a personal problem that only happens to you and it's not happen to anyone else, it becomes way more cumbersome to you. This life is not a life that you're going through alone. And there are a lot of other people that are having the similar issue that you are. Thanks to the World Wide Web, we all get to talk about it and hear about it too, by the way, sometimes. But I'm talking about the real challenges, the things that you're looking for solutions. Understand, you're not the only one. And no one has singled you out to focus on just you. Truth is if somebody has a problem with you, it's rarely ever about you. You're not that significant in the world. I think I've gone on long enough tonight. Just a few lessons I got from Tony Robbins. There's so many other people, so many others. Every once in a while, maybe I should just start pulling out lessons from different people that I've got. It's a huge list of people that I've learned a lot of lessons. But really, if you just want a distillation of what I've learned, the 35,000 foot view, at least in reference to going from drift to drive and then going from purpose into progress, go get the book Momentum and Mastery. And then if you want to talk about the core 7 master steps to make change and all those types of things, that's a whole nother level we talk about later on. But right now, that's what you need to do. Go to momentumandmastery.com, go get that book. And I trust this was useful for you tonight because this was straight tactics. This was stuff that you could use tonight. If you need something from me, you know how to reach out to me. Keep well, keep moving forward.